Hey there, podcast explorers. Welcome to Pit Chat, the podcast where we gather round, toss in some hot topics, and let the flames of conversation burn bright. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Wayne.
And together we're your hosts on this journey through the sizzling landscape of current events, sprinkled with a dash of mystery, a pinch of the unexplained, and a whole lot of fun.
That's right, Michelle. We're not just here to talk about the everyday stuff. We're diving deep into the realms of the unknown, exploring UFO sightings, unraveling paranormal mysteries, and maybe even roasting a marshmallow or two along the way.
So whether you're a skeptic or a believer, join us as we stoke the flames of curiosity and bring you the hottest takes on the coolest conspiracies. It's like sitting around a fire pit with your friends, but with a bit of extraterrestrial excitement.
Each episode, we'll be serving up a blend of the latest headlines, intriguing stories, and a touch of the supernatural. From politics to pop culture, and from ghosts to government secrets, we've got it all covered.
And hey, if you've ever looked up at the night sky and wondered what's out there, or if you've ever felt a chill down your spine in a supposedly haunted place, you're in the right spot.
So, grab a seat, cozy up by the fire, and let's spark some conversation. This is Pit Chat, where the ordinary meets the extraordinary. Get ready for a wild ride down the rabbit hole.
On an escalator.
Oh, okay, everybody. How's it going out there? Welcome to Pit Chat with myself, Wayne, and my lovely wife, Michelle.
Hey, everyone.
So hopefully everybody's doing fine this evening. So just real quick, want to acknowledge some people I see in chat. We got Straw Dog 1. We have Hides and Grass. Jason Finch, welcome. Good seeing you. We also have Rick Davis has joined us as well. So welcome, everybody. Glad you are here. Tonight, we've got an amazing guest. We're going to have a great conversation tonight.
And we were just on his show the other night.
Yes, we were. So you can find that link and everything in the show notes. Once we get done, we'll put the link in the show description. So if you guys want to see that conversation, you can head on over to BMR's page, his channel, or Bigfoot Michigan Rob. And speaking of that, let's go ahead and just bring him right on. There he is.
Hey, hello. How's it going?
Good, man. Good to see you. We finally were able to get you on, and we are so excited to have you on tonight, man.
And he's rocking the Lions gear tonight.
Yeah, yes. I even got a Lions. Yeah, this is Lions. I'm all Lions gear until it all comes to an end. You know, all good things come to an end.
And then the Detroit Tigers stuff comes out, because that's usually my case.
Well, yes, you know, at least I'm glad I'm not a Pistons fan. At least not right now.
No, man, the bad boys era.
Now, yes, I'm in the bad boy era. Now, don't get me wrong. Yeah, that was a great time, wasn't it? Back in the bad boys era. I'm a sports fan in general, but I must say that I'm fair weather when it comes to the Pistons, and maybe for the last, and even for the Red Wings to an extent after they went bad. But the Detroit Lions, I've even watched the 0-16 season I suffered through. The Lions are really my team. I haven't missed a game as far as watching on TV or listening on the radio ever since I can remember. So I am a diehard when it comes to the Lions. And then I would say the Tigers. And then, of course, Wings and Pistons, I go as they go, you know?
See, and there was a time I didn't miss a Pistons game.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, in school, I remember doing my homework we had a breakfast nook, and I would sit at the table and watch the Pistons game on this little 13-inch TV,
Yeah.
doing my homework and screaming at the TV at the same time.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. In fact, I probably watched, especially right when we drafted Isaiah Thomas, because I started watching the Pistons with my brother when we weren't very good, but I liked sports. I was growing up. My dad brought us up on sports, and so yeah. Then I said, "Wow, this basketball is cool." So I did watch as many Pistons games as I could, and then that evolved into the Red Wings. So we watched all four. Then as I got older, didn't have time for all this when life goes on. So it was the Lions and Tigers ended up being my two mainstays.
See, and I was the only girl out of 5 kids, so I had to find my niche.
Yeah, there you right.
Yeah,
Of
and
course.
I was more the football guy. I didn't really care for basketball too much. I was more into the football and the
Mhm.
our awesome running back of Barry Sanders. You know,
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
few years that he was here with
Oh yeah.
Herman Moore, and
Mm,
oh my God, what an awesome team! Just
yeah.
horrible leadership.
Isn't that funny? I think it goes down in leadership if you talk about sports real quick because we hadn't had it for decades. I mean, ever since I was a kid. I mean, I hate to say this, Wayne Fonts at least had some sort of leadership, and he was joked at and laughed at but I tell you what, he put out more winning seasons than not, right? And
Yep.
I'm excited about the team, and we got a great GM. I mean, we've got a deadly running back duo. I mean, the guy is hit on every draft, and this goes to show you how much I like the Lions. We're not even talking about our Wolverines.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
we're playing for the
Oh,
national championship. So I still and I went to U of M, but I still am a Lions fan. I mean, and then Michigan, of course, will always be in my heart, but I kind of expect them to win. So it's not like the Lions,
Yeah. Yep.
Being a
All right.
pompous Michigan U of M grad, we're going to win. That's the way we roll.
Yeah. Well, I didn't go to U of M. I went to Eastern, right up the road from U
Well,
of
yeah,
M.
there you
So
go.
pretty much,
It's
I
all the
mean,
same.
it's all the same. But all right, so
Yeah.
Bigfoot Michigan Rob.
Yes.
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
All right. You got to tell us what is up with the name. How'd that all get started, man?
Uh,
And I know you've told this story just like when
yeah.
we were on your
I
show
know.
just a few
Yeah.
nights ago,
Yeah, I know.
but your
I
story is fascinating, man. And just the fact that it happened here in Michigan uh and then what it's become is
yes.
is an amazing story leading all the way to a book now, as a matter of fact. So
Yeah.
all right, so
I
Rob,
yes,
take it
thanks.
away.
I will, thanks. And I do like telling the story. There was a point where I'm like, I'm done telling the story until many people said, no, 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 no. I've heard your story 20 times and I can listen to it the 21st time. And it got me to thinking as people would tell me that people need to hear this. Because really the reason I even started the channel is because people, much like me, I walked alone for a long time after this encounter. I had nowhere to go. So that's really how my channel, Bigfoot Michigan Rob channel became about, right? A couple years back. And no, my mom and dad did not name me Bigfoot Michigan Rob. They did the part of it. They did Robert. The part of the name is Robert. Yeah, that's my real name. But so yeah, so that's how that really formulated. Because I did a dumb video, you guys. It's not even. I pulled it down. I wanted, after talking to several people, they said it'd be great therapy if you just told your story. Now I did not have a channel. And I said, well, how do you even make a YouTube video? I didn't even use YouTube for anything but to listen to music. That's all I did. That's all I used YouTube for.
Can you tell how long ago was this when you were dealing with all of this in your head and
Well,
thinking of that?
my encounter was June 15th of 2018.
Okay.
Yeah. So really briefly, I did a brief video, told my encounter which was suggested to me. And so I did. So, well, I saw a Bigfoot. At least I think it was a Bigfoot. I'm Rob. I live in Michigan. So Bigfoot Michigan Rob was made just to get out the video. And then when I started my channel, I was going to change the name, but it kind of stuck. And today I'm glad I didn't change it. So anyways, that's kind of how the channel name started. But yeah, so it was back June 15th of 2018. So I'm dating this girl, Cindy. I had been dating her for a few years. And one day I had said, "Hey, Cindy, I'm more of an outdoors type person. Cindy really was not. But I'm like, so I just surprised her because I wanted to get her involved at least in some aspect of outdoors. So I let her know, hey, listen, we're going to Cadillac, Michigan. We're renting us a little cabin, a small fishing skiff or boat, and we're just going to go explore, get on the water. There's a lot of other things to do as well. I made sure of that. She was like reluctantly, really fishing. I go, yeah, it's no big deal, a couple hours. She agrees. Then I told her about the other things we could do, a lot of restaurants, shops, boutiques, because Cadillac is really kind of pretty and pretty cool. A lot of things to do. So we get up to Cadillac. Now, Cadillac, Michigan, for those that are unfamiliar, it is surrounded by the Manistee National Forest. So an abundance, probably one of the bigger forests we do have in our state. I'd never looked that up, but I'm guessing it's quite, I think it might be top 3, top 2 at least. So we're out there. We get to Lake Cadillac. I got to the cabin area. And so we get up, and the next morning, we got there at night, I believe. So the next morning, we get up, we get on the water on Lake Cadillac. We're on, okay. As we're getting out and about, Lake Cadillac, it's in Wexford County. It's surrounded by, again, the Manistee National Forest. But out on the Lake Cadillac itself, very built up, beautiful homes surrounding the shorelines, a lot of small businesses, maybe little industries here and again. So it's pretty busy. The lake itself is busy. That day, fishing out on the lake, not as busy. It was the middle of the week. It wasn't a holiday or anything. It was just one of those June 15th was back then. And so we're out and about. So about an hour goes by, and I'll be honest with you guys, we didn't get any bites, not a nibble. Beautiful environment to be on, don't get me wrong, but I can tell Cindy's already done with this fishing. So I'm like, okay, let's pull in our gear, and we'll just take this little boat, motor around the lake, and go do some exploring. So she sits down. We're both, traversing about the lake, checking out the houses, the businesses. Then we get to this canal, and we pass through this canal. Now this canal leads to another lake, which is connected, called Lake Mitchell. Now Lake Mitchell is very big as well. It's a big lake. It's oddly enough, it might be the same size as Lake Cadillac. It doesn't look like it if you go on Google Maps, but I did some looking into it. There's almost as much water in this part as there is gallonage versus Cadillac. Just everybody knows Cadillac is Lake Cadillac. But anyway, Lake Mitchell, very, very big, and a little less populated, more dense surroundings with the forest, because it does directly, the backdrop is the forest. There are homes, but not as many. They're more spread out, and not nearly the activity. So there we go.
Yeah, so there you have Cadillac Lake, and then just across the way there, you got Lake Mitchell.
Yeah, as you can see, it's pretty big, pretty nice size. Yep. So thanks. So, and you see all that green is all the forest. So anyways, thanks for that. So,
yep.
So we travel south, probably southwest. We're getting down to the bottom of Lake Mitchell, because we're still kind of looking around in awe. And then I just said, well, here's a spot where we're going to kind of start drifting, and I'm going to put our tackle together and start doing some fishing. So we're about 90 feet out from shore, and I'm attending the tackle and the bait. And Cindy's kind of standing up, looking into the shoreline, and I'm not paying any attention. I'm down, putting our lures on and our bait and such. And then Cindy says, "Hey, Rob, I think someone's throwing rocks at the boat." And I'm like, "What? Really? Rocks?" And I look up the shoreline. I don't see anybody there. And I said, "No, it's probably some fish jumping around. I wouldn't really worry about it. I mean, I don't see anybody." She's, "Yeah, okay." So I go tend to the business I was at hand. Less than 30 seconds later, Rob, a little more emphatic. Somebody's throwing rocks at the boat. I look at her. I said, look, there's nobody there. I said, look, in fact, the wood line drops directly into Cadillac. I mean, it's just boom. Is there areas for somebody where perhaps you could stand around? Yes, but it's very, very narrow. Okay. Nobody's out there. I said, listen, let me put the bait and tackle together, and then I'll join you, and we both stand and we'll observe the shoreline. She's like, fine. So right after I said that, within a few seconds, I happen to look up, and there's an object falling out of the sky. I'm like, well, what the hell is this? And sure enough, everybody, it was a rock. It fell like 3.5, 4 feet in front of us, about the size of a baseball. And boom. So I'm now going to turn to my right to Cindy and apologize. Yeah, I think you're right. But as I'm looking at her, now again, this is the middle of June. Now Cindy already was off to a head start with her sun tanning because she worships the sun, right? Head to toe suntan. Well, when I looked at her head to toe, you guys, she was like, all the color was drained from her body. She was almost like, not like ghostly white, but very pale, right? Not the color she had. And I could tell she's affixed at something on shore. And I go, what the heck is she looking at? And I looked at the shoreline, and they're standing at the shoreline. And we're 90 feet out. It's standing there, about 9 foot tall, covered in a reddish brown long hair, is this creature. Okay. It looked like a human. It kind of looked like a human. And I'm close enough where I could look up and see the face of this thing. It looked like a person with like Down syndrome, or a person that had a deformity. The face was kind of old. It had offset eyes. One side of the face was kind of drooping a little bit. Grayish, wrinkled skin, almost like he had been in a knife fight. I mean, the face was kind of marred up and cut up. It was just, I got a good visual. And again, this beautiful flowing coat of reddish brown hair that I tell you, I never seen anything like this. And its arms are sitting at its side. We're staring at this thing. Then all of a sudden, the arms, they lift from the side, and they now are parallel to the lake, almost like a set of airplane wings, right? It's all parallel. And these arms are extremely long. And draping down on the other side of the arms is, again, flowing long reddish brown hair. Kind of remind me like wings, right? Actual wings of like a gigantic bird or something. And so that face that I communicated as being like a Down syndrome looking human, an odd looking human, all of a sudden it metamorphosizes, takes on a metamorphosis. The jawline kind of drops pretty low, like it gets detached almost, exposes a set of 4 teeth, 2 incisors on the bottom, very closely put together, and 2 more canine up top. And that the grayish, older looking face, it gets real tight. It gets tight. The offset eyes, they turn black, because what happens is it kind of leans back, and it's getting ready to yell or roar or do something. So it tightens up and metamorphoses into what I described today, looking like a demon. And all of a sudden, in unison, out of it's from the depths of its lungs, from its inner being, right? It roars, yells, and screams out directly at myself and Cindy at the boat. And I can feel this energy hit us. I can feel it. It's kind of hard to explain, but we've all seen videos where a bomb gets detonated in the ocean, and you see that shock wave that just kind of course, I didn't see that, but that's what it reminded me of, because I got hit with that, and I took a stumble back a little bit, and Cindy, being no more than of 5'1", 110, 119 pounds at the time, flips off of the boat. I'm frantic, and this thing is barreling this monstrous yell, right? And I can't process this. In fact, I know I have to turn to my right and get Cindy into the boat, but now all of a sudden it seems like the time kind of stood still for a moment. This day was a beautiful day. It was not overcast. It was a blue sky, beautiful greens of the trees, the forest, the water was blue. This and again I mentioned the beautiful red and brown coloring of this creature. All of a sudden I'm seeing, like, looking through a filter where the color was almost, I don't want to say black and white, but it was very grainy. My vision's grainy, and there's not true color. And to make matters worse, I now am paralyzed and I cannot move at all to my right to get Cindy into the boat. So I'm like I'm shaking my head. I I break free of the trance or whatever spell I'm under, or infrasound. People say whatever I had happened to me. I broke free of it. Went to the right, got Cindy, get her into the boat. I quickly whirl around to my left to find this thing. And this is where I'm as scared. Scary as that part was, you guys, this is where I'm most scared. Now I can't see it. So I don't know what it is. Is it swimming after us? Where's this thing? So I'm like, hey, let's get the heck out of here. Fired up the little skiff boat, if you will, and boom, and I tailed it across Mitchell, through that canal to Cadillac, to the area where I had launched the boat from. Park the boat, or dock the boat, if you will, and get a towel or some wrap around Cindy or whatever. And I immediately look for some place where we go sit down. I sure as heck did not want to sit in that little boat. Wanted to stretch our legs, get comfortable. So I find about a half block up, there's this bar/restaurant. Get up, walk in. Not too many people in there. I look to the right. Maybe there might have been a group of people off to the right. Then I look to the left, and there's like nobody there. So there's in fact, in the far left back corner of this place, of this bar restaurant, I sit down. Cindy and I are across from each other, not saying a word. The barmaid comes up to us, asks us what we're having. Cindy, ever since I've been dating her, not known her to drink a drop. Never seen her drink anything. Orders a bottle of Bud Light and a shot of Jack Daniels.
Wow.
The barmaid turns to me and I said, I'll have the same, but make mine a double. So Cindy, again, still looking kind of at each other. We're looking at each other, not drifting off. We're dead. Eyes are on each other. But I think she is waiting for that drink. Barmaid comes. It wasn't busy. Within under 2 minutes, she was ready, had us served up. And Cindy takes a shot of Jack, throws it back like she'd been drinking for 20 years, gunned half that bottle of Bud Light, and I do the same. And finally, you get that burn in your chest, your lungs are all expanded. And Cindy says, "Honey, what do you think that was?" And I says back, now I got to tell everybody this. Throughout our dating life, we never spoke about Bigfoot. If a Bigfoot show was on TV, would we watch it? Yes. Just like, paranormal or ghost shows, we would watch these shows if they came on, but we never discussed it. I never asked her, do you believe in Bigfoot? So it was just like, and she just says, I think maybe it was that Bigfoot creature. I'm like, I think, then I go, yeah, I think maybe it was, right? And then she says, well, should we call somebody, the authorities, sheriff, DNR, things like that? And I'm like, nah, we don't live around here. Now we're in a bar. I mean, frankly, what we saw was unbelievable. And first of all, you got to remember, I'm still trying to process everything that's just happened. I still don't know what in the heck I saw, because I'm thinking Bigfoot, then I'm thinking demon, because that transformation, that metamorphosis was just out of this world, right? Literally. So we're like, yeah, okay, let's keep it to ourselves. But that kind of ended the trip, and we spent maybe another couple hours. We might have went in town for a little bit, but we boogied out of there, and we So we came home, and then we now immerse ourselves in the study of Bigfoot, or at least we're trying to look up images of Bigfoot, demons, devils, the transformation. I'm finding all sorts of things that just didn't jive with me. Something was close, some things, and then I didn't know who to trust. Then I found there were certain shows on YouTube, and I don't know if I believe these people. I mean, there's so much going through your head, and so going online. So we're continuing on with this, and then exactly 2 months. So August 15th. So Cindy and I never lived together. We were, she lived with her mom, and dad, or her mom, excuse me, and I get a call, it's August 15th, 2018, like 2 months from the day, and I get a call from her mom saying that Cindy passed away. I'm like, my Cindy? Yeah, she's gone. What the hell are you talking about? And mom didn't like me anyway, because I owned a bar, so I was the devil incarnate anyways. So, what do you mean? She goes, yeah, she had a heart attack. I said, heart attack? Girl don't drink or smoke. Good health, 40 years old, whatever. So that was that. She told me that, and I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like thinking the first thing that pops in my head is that's BS, and again, me and her mother, she did not like me. I couldn't get any more information out of her whatsoever. Could get an autopsy report later because I'm not family, I'm not the husband, this and that, locked out of that part of life, wasn't even allowed at her funeral. I was a bad guy, which was you talk about odd people, you guys, meet these people. In fact, you don't want to meet these people, okay? The mother and the family, right? So anyway, but now I want to go back to Cadillac, and I just want to take some buddies that I know from the Army and just blow this place up, and I want to kill this thing. I'm thinking that there was something that took place when we got hit with that blast. Maybe her little insides got messed up. Her liver, heart got moved around. I don't know. I don't have answers. I don't have I don't know how she died. I get in a dark place, man. At this time, I own a bar at this time, and I go to my manager. And luckily, I was with him since I started up the business. For at this point, I think I had 8, 9, 10 years. I said, "Look, dude, you're not going to believe this. I'm in a bad spot right now. I'm not. Here are the keys. Don't rip me off. Take the money, deposit it every night in a bank. When I get back to work, I get back to work. Don't ask me anything right now. This is like I'm just keeping it to myself. Okay, Rob, whatever. Yeah. So 6 months I didn't return to work. 6 months I walked kind of trying to figure all this out. And when I tell people I walked alone for 6 months. I really got some deep, creepy avenue. And I'm not saying dark and creepy. I wasn't going out using drugs or becoming a bad man. I was creepy, consumed with what am I dealing with? Demons, devils, Bigfoot, not what aliens. I don't know.
That
and
thing
I tell you,
root.
Yes, and I cannot. And half the people I'm trying to get a hold of on the internet, and I found YouTube. I didn't trust these people, and nobody really. There weren't too many people that helped me at all that I found that I could at least trust. So I was lost and alone. Okay. And that's really why I started the channel, where I wrote the book, by the way, later on in life. This is a foreshadowing what happened, how I started everything, right? But I finally found some people I could trust. And of course, I ran into my buddy Tex, right? Tex, who I started following him. He was on some other channel before he started his own. And I thought this guy was pretty genuine and knew his stuff. I befriended him and a few others. And now they're kind of talking me off the ledge a little bit. Even Kerry Arnold. I don't know if you remember Kerry Arnold from Bigfoot Odyssey. Great guy. Look him up. He passed away. He's dead. He's no longer with us. He got in a car wreck 2 years ago.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. And he helped me with a lot of things. Young guy in his 40s. I mean, just boom, gone. But in Texas and a couple others, like Duke Sullivan, helped me out quite a bit. So I finally got people that knew what they were talking about that said to Rob, you aren't going crazy. And so that's kind of that was my story that kicked off what I do today. And I will tell you guys, I've always been interested in monsters as a little kid, aliens, the paranormal, ghosts, Bigfoot. I saw Leonard Nimoy, saw the Patterson Gimlin. I've always had the interest, but not to the interest that I take it today. And that's because of what happened. So the channel formulated, the book came out, because I take encounter stories from people, and mostly it's from people that they want to be anonymous, right? And they're people that walked alone like I did, right? Because my heart, I feel for a lot. I empathize with a lot of these people, because I got to tell you guys, there's part of my life where I just didn't care anymore, and especially being let out from the mom because of the Cindy, right? That really drives. That to this day is still my biggest mystery. I'd like to know what in the hell happened there for a fact. If that was really what happened, the heart attack, then I can be at rest with that. But I still don't know that what happened that June 15th had any overlying factors, right? So that forever is going to haunt me. I'm through with the Bigfoot stuff. I mean, I know Bigfoot exists, and even today, I don't even necessarily call that a Bigfoot. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. Until you come across something, it's hard to process, right? It's so hard to process something that you see that can definitely kill you. Had I been on land, I really would have been in fear for my life, because they're just so big and powerful looking. I even had Sibyl Irwin made some renditions for me of this thing, and I tell you, it's frightening.
Yeah, man, that is some powerful stuff. And it's weird how these communities kind of cross over. And one of the things that we talked about was on your show just on Tuesday was, do you think that some of this stuff is related? Well, what I find interesting is that the path that Michelle and I have taken from our 2018 UFO sighting was pretty much the same. We weren't so much in that dark place, but we were more like more curious. I guess we didn't feel like the threat, even though I had that message in my head.
Yep.
It wasn't like right in our faces of a screaming entity of something that then transformed or metamorphized into something else. But what I think the commonality is trying to find peace or reconcile with these things that, as far as we know, like have like we do not deal with this stuff on a daily basis. We know in the backs of our mind when we see something on TV, it's science fiction related. We can suspend disbelief to watch TV, right? And watch a movie and think, okay, this is sci-fi. Even scary movies, we jump and stuff, even though we know it's fake.
Yeah.
But there's something then that happens when it really does appear in front of you like that. And the psychological toll, it's pretty intense. And so we kind of came to the same conclusion of putting our story out there. It's cathartic for us to put out our story and just get it off of us and just be like, okay, did anybody else see anything? And then the story after story after story, and people being in very dark places with UFOs, being abducted, the stuff that we've heard that we can't even talk about. It's just, and some people we've had on here, and I think that's one of the commonality things. Here we are as humans, and we are being subjected to this other thing that makes no sense to us. I mean, that's a huge psychological trauma. That's like attack.
Oh, I tell you what, it was. I almost was making myself worse than what I even was. Now, let me tell you something. It was pretty bad. I mean, let me put it to this: had I had that identical encounter, but Cindy, is still alive today, it wouldn't have been as traumatic, right? Because I, for the longest time, thought this thing had something to do with it. So for me, the connection between Bigfoot or whatever it was is death. Or I don't want to use the word evil. That's really getting dark because I don't know. I'm not suggesting. I always explain that I saw a demon, but that's what I explained it in 2018. Do I believe today what I saw was a demon? No, I do not. Okay. But it's what it reminded me of way back when. And since I've been doing this kind of for 5 years now, and I spoke with so many people that have had similar encounters, and every encounter is similar yet different, right? But the thing for me, what I was told early on, and I'll tell you guys, I was so messed up that I went and saw an actual professional person for about 90 days. And I said, well, this isn't for me, but gave me some information that today I can even use in everyday life, which is kind of
Sure.
cool, you know? But for me, putting it on paper, making the video a long time ago, talking about really, once I got past that, being judged, oh, this guy, he's so full of BS. He's this, he's that. Because as human beings, we don't want to be labeled that, right? So once I got past that initial trepidation, then when I went forward, boy, it felt like the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders because people were listening. And it really helped when I found people that listened and understood versus someone that listens and then turns the other way and, kind of says, okay, wow, that guy's, cuckoo, right?
Yep.
And we're all afraid of that. We don't want to be perceived, especially when you have these stories. I mean, even with your story, you guys, people that don't believe in UFOs think, well, okay, whatever. Wayne and Michelle didn't see anything. They saw a jumbo jet, which you did. I know exactly what you saw.
Or the one I always love is the TR3B, man-made, this, that, or the other. And I just, there's no way. There's no way. I think that whole TR3B is a whole cover story, honestly. Put out a cover story to cover up the fact that there are these huge triangular craft out there.
I was going to say, there's your government cover up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with what you went through, just like what we went through, we were shocked to discover that people were not having these made for TV encounters with these things. These people, kind of like us, had been scarred or impacted, kind of like what you're talking about with the Bigfoot creature. Let's just call it that. We might as well.
Yeah.
Or a cryptid. Okay.
Yeah,
so whatever this thing was, have you run into this with other people as well that had that hit, been knocked to the ground by the yell, the psychological, the trauma based, reality hitting them, and it not being, a pleasant little Patterson video of the female Bigfoot walking away and everybody being happy about, so
I will tell you this. Yeah, I can answer that. Before I even get into that part, I will say this. Since I put out that video sometime. Now, again, I've told this story probably 1,000 times on other people's shows, and I've talked it certainly on my show quite a bit. I will tell you that just the other day, I just did a show because I have the rendition show. I have to show you guys the picture that I got put together, and it's 95%. It looks like what I saw, by the way. I don't know if you can show it on here or not, but I feel pretty good about the fact I've gotten inundated with emails or comments on certain videos where people say, Rob, we know what you're saying to be true because there people have had certain cryptid encounters on Lake Mitchell and Lake Cadillac, howls from the forest. They know something's out there. So in a strange way, I feel good that people are opening up and saying, hey, Rob, you saw something, which I know I did. They don't have to tell me that, but for other people to have similar experiences, and some haven't even seen it, right? But they know there's something lurking where they live. So, I like to hear those stories. Now, I know this lady, Cindy Goodbrake. She's been on my show once or twice. She lives in Idaho, and she has horses. And where she lives, there are Bigfoot and dogmen, right? And she's been on my show twice. She's been on a lot of other bigger shows a handful of times. She was hit with what we all call the infrasound, or hit with something. She knew that she didn't see an actual Bigfoot in the area, but she's seen big shadows in the distance as they're on the trail on horse. Then they heard the big, large whoop. Unlike what I heard, was not a whoop. Everybody, it was just some craziness. Big, loud whoop, and then she felt nauseous. Her head spun. She literally fell off her horse, and she was also with a friend who heard the same sound, but they didn't get sick. And every time she goes out on, and she seems to think that they kind of followed her back to her property, because many times when she's out on her property, she will hear the whoops, then she'll also hear howls, and she'll get the same feeling of the nauseous feeling when she thinks they're near. And I was, people were suggesting maybe I was hit with infrasound, and I kind of looked that up. And as you guys probably know, infrasound is something that an elephant can give off, a tiger that kind of stuns their prey, gives them the advantage. But not that I'm suggesting these cryptids, that's what they're doing, but I think that she's one person, and there's several other people that claimed to have been hit with infrasound, and some people lost consciousness for a little bit, kind of the same symptoms as me, but where there's others that said they have, but that they felt nothing. So I do think I don't think that's a myth. I think infrasound is something. Don't know that mine was really even infrasound, you guys, because I'm still trying to piece together what in the heck was mine, an actual Bigfoot or what, But I think it exists. And yes, to answer your question, I think people have experienced a lot of the similar symptoms that I felt, or not even a symptom, my actual experience. Not going as far as saying the black and white, but they've said frozen, immobile for a little bit. Yes. So, but not hit with that force, like that shockwave, right? I've never come across that.
Rob, with the cryptid that you saw and the stories that you've probably heard and looked into about Dogman, how would you compare the two to the cryptid that you saw and any stories that you've heard about Dogman?
Well, I gotta tell you, okay, what I saw looked like a human being. And the onset looked like a human. It looked like somebody. If I had a rifle, you guys,
Yeah,
I would
Yep.
not have shot, because I felt I committed murder. It looked like a person, but a person you might see in the movies, right? In a scary movie. But when it metamorphosed into what I always say, a demon, that's something I had no problem shooting. So that's how
Right.
big the difference was. With the Dogman renditions, Dogman. So mine, I will say this, just from my personal experience, mine looked nothing like a Dogman. The Dogman pictures or renditions I've seen definitely look like the person on two legs with a wolf's head or an oversized German Shepherd's head. But I will say this also: every time I spoke to the many people that I was talking to about Dogman, they always say that a fear of dread overtakes them. Like they're always scared.
Mhm.
There's something. I'm not going to throw words like devil or demon out anymore, you guys. That's really going too deep. But dread and a feeling of something's not right, and kind of scared or being frightened. And a lot of the stories I get are never positive. I'm not going to be the guy that jumps on the bandwagon and says that Bigfoot is the friendly forest giant, like many people do. Well, good old BMR. No, that's not part of that's not me at all. Simply because of what happened to me.
I
I
feel
won't.
the exact same way about the alien stuff, dude. It's like, and I just put into chat to answer. Well, Rick Davis in chat had said, after my experiences with these craft in my life, I never doubt the stories of others. That's from Rick Davis. And I added a caveat to that and say, when people start talking about they're going into this dark place and they know it doesn't feel right, those are the people I listen to the most, because those are the ones that are dealing with some type of trauma that has attacked their psyche. To me, that is real. That's more real to me than we're galaxy of brothers selling peace and let's sit around the bonfire and smoke a peace pipe. And I I don't think those people are not credible. I just put more credit onto the ones that had these experiences that seemed to take them down the darker path and then send them on a way of self-discovery, of trying to help other people by putting their story out there and taking that burden on. I think that's huge, and that speaks to the credibility of people that are willing to put their neck out there like that and take that on. I mean, you're putting a lot on your shoulders to be out there in the public talking about this, and it's not something that's easy to do.
No, it's not. And again, it was hard for me to tell my story. And I got to tell you something. The book that I put out, okay, it was compromised. It was made up of people that a lot of these people send me emails or subscribers of the channel. Thank you. And
Yeah, there you go, right there. True Cryptid Encounters Book 1, Bigfoot Michigan Rob presents on Amazon right now.
yep, thank you so much for that.
Yeah,
And
you're welcome.
these are all true encounters from people sent to me in anonymity. They did not want to be on the show. A lot of these people gained a trust with me, and so yeah, they let me present them. And I have presented a lot of some stories on video format on the channel as well. And I got some, and of course the book's a little bit different, but the element, a lot of these stories, you guys, and again, a lot of these people heard my story. I guess, I mean, they had to have. A lot of these elements are people that have had trauma in these stories. They're not. My story ended up with my girlfriend dying. Some of these people that have reached out to me, a loved one had actually committed suicide because they
Yeah.
could not take it. So a lot of these stories.
That there's people out there that have had these UFO encounters that have done the same thing or have come very close to doing it. We've talked to a few people, and I'm not naming anybody on this, that
No,
went
yep.
down this road, man. And it's what do you do? Who do you talk to? There's no professionals out there that are going to talk to you like you're not crazy and want to lock you up. It's
Yeah, I've got emails to start out, Rob. As I'm typing this, I'm now starting to cry.
Yep.
I don't want to be on your show because I won't get through the show. But here's my story. I want you to tell it. I get a lot of those. And after I go through them, you guys, I want to cry sometimes. And they're not all end in tragedy, no. But they end in the fact that this person is mentally not well anymore.
And they don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
Nobody they feel safe to talk to.
No, and that's what it says in the beginning of my book. In the very beginning, that's where my first page. That's what it's. That's how it starts out. For many years, I walked alone. This book's for all the people that walk alone today, and hopefully, this helps you get through your suffering, right? And yep. So that's why I did that, because I'm not here. Like a lot of people saying, I don't want to be, cliche. I mean, if I make money, I make money. I won't lie to you, but I love doing this. I love doing this, and I like helping people. Helping, to me, that's my giving back to people. They always say in life, what are you going to give back to society? And for the longest time, I didn't know what to give anybody. I give you a bar, I give you a drink, right? I give you good time. But now today, I know what I give to people. A man who's had something traumatic happen, and now I can tell other people's stories through their eyes, with me as the, I don't know what you would call me, just a storyteller for them, right? And again, they're not stories; they're stories, yes, but they are true stories.
Yeah,
yeah, and it helps people. Again, had I kept this bottle in for all my life, you guys, I don't know where I can't say I would be in the loony bin today. If I wasn't told to speak out, put it on paper, put it in words, find people. I don't care if you look like a fool. Someone's gonna listen eventually. Eventually they did. After a lot of embarrassing moments, right? Literally. That was another thing, Oh boy. Here we go again. For me, it was 6 months. For some people, it might be 6 years or 6 decades. We don't know.
Yeah.
And those are the people I feel bad for.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say 2018 was a hell of a year.
It sure was.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Now, Rob, when you talk about the creature itself and seeing that face kind of transform and things, and you like to describe that as almost like demonic. Do you think there was some type of technology or something involved with what you were seeing? Could it have been some type of a creature that is using a technology, and it was not, that was the way it was using it to scare you or something along those lines?
Well, maybe. When it did the metamorphosis, I'm thinking that it was a defense mechanism of some sort. I think. I'll be honest with you, and I wish I could share the pictures. Maybe I'll show them to you later. But anyways, the first thing I saw, yes, it was imposing figure. Okay, it was all 9 foot tall, but the face it looked more docile, but creepy. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't. Let me put it to this way: I was on a boat 90 feet away, so I wasn't scared. I was just kind of in awe. But when it did that transformation, that metamorphosis, I was scared. I was all daylights. Now what is this? So I talked to a lot of different people. They thought that it did that because perhaps I was around where its children were around. Maybe I was in its hunting area, its fishing area. Some of that I don't buy because you got to look. I've talked. I don't really. If that was the case, you would have heard so many more stories about this happening, right? So, but how many people aren't coming forward? But anyways, and even like you talk about aliens. They have that shell, right? When they're going to battle, all of a sudden their body turns into this technologically advanced suit or something. So
Right.
yeah, I think part of it maybe it was to scare me off. Okay, it didn't have to scare me off. I was minding my own business, and what I started doing though is I started investigating or researching into typical mammals, and the one mammal I came across, which was very intriguing, was the baboon. Baboons are ugly as all get out, anyways. When you see them, and they're very
Yeah.
creepy looking and scary. Now, when they are threatened or if they're ready to attack, they can take their entire body, their face, and metamorphose it into something demonic looking as well. I mean, they could take that face, that snout protracts out, shows all the teeth, its eyes get really beady and tight, and that skin gets even more taut, and they look different. If you did a side by side, they certainly look different, right? So I'm thinking, yeah, this may be what this is because what I was thinking, demon for the longest time. No, it probably was a flesh and blood thing that just had this ability to change its appearance in defense. And not to sound funny, for the longest time, I would sit in front of a mirror. You know how many different faces you can make, you guys, on your looking into a mirror that don't even look like you. You know how funny you can make yourself look or creepy. I think that's inherent in all of us, right? With all the muscles in our face, and I just think that yes, that was a defense mechanism. A technology, if you're talking technology, Wayne, you're talking then something that was beamed down from outer space, which again, I'm not poking fun at that at all because I believe in all that anyways. I believe there are aliens and spacecraft. I'm not, I believe everything exists, everything out there. Cryptids exist, alien spacecraft. I think you can go in time. I think you can metamorph. I think you can so much that our human minds can even do, right? Take us,
Yeah.
and so to me, it's all connected somehow. Not that an alien and Bigfoot hang out at the bar in the middle of the galaxy, no. But there's something to all of this. There has to be.
I mean, look at this thing. This is a baboon right here.
Yeah.
I mean, baboon attack. This is on National Geographic. I mean, look at that. These are not some kind of animal you want to see appear. Like, holy crap. Look at that.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, that looks alien looking, don't it? It certainly does. Yeah, so
well,
yes.
I know people try to make the connection between UFOs and Bigfoot, and with that, the way you describe that metamorphosis of the face, it sounds like it could have been like a technology thing, but I don't think it was. It's probably just the way it was able to change the shape of its face to do that yell.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great question. First time it was ever posed to me, but again, it's another avenue to explore. And again, I think there are things in the forest so that maybe are technologically advanced, though, right? I think there are. I think there's things that we've made there in the forest from technology, I believe, too.
Yeah.
We could go on and talk about Dogman. Michelle was talking about Dogman.
Yeah.
Dogman, people like the Bigfoot stories, but boy, do they want to eat up that Dogman for whatever reason. And, and I don't blame them because it's on the edge. It's kind of spooky. You can get Bigfoot crossing the road or playing peekaboo from behind a tree. You don't get that with Dogman. You get, man, this thing wants to eat you, or you're scared for your life.
Yeah, they seem aggressive.
Well, and you go into the history of Dogman too, as far as where it originated out of the Odawa Indian tribes up around Petoskey.
Yeah, talking about where we live, you guys. Yes, so many legends from our First Nations people. It's just so much, right? Now, I didn't hear about the Petoskey one though, Michelle.
Well, it's the Odawa Indian tribe, so that's up around Petoskey, Harbor Springs, and that area is where, from my understanding, where the Dogman stories came from.
Okay, yeah. Well, and two also, and I'm sure that's 100% accurate. I also know that Wexford County, Michigan, which, by the way, I threw that in there earlier. Cadillac is in Wexford County. Now, Wexford County is pretty vast and a big county, I should say. And that, I mean, this is not me saying it. I've read it many times that it supposedly is our state's capital for Dogman encounters or sightings is in Wexford. Now, what I saw was no Dogman for sure, but again, they're out there. They're out there.
Yeah.
The Michigan Dogman. I mean,
yeah, I just these stories are just amazing, and I don't know, there's so much to this, and one of the things that I like to point out when we talk about this, about cryptids and things like that, we think that our planet is small because we have the technology to travel around pretty much anywhere we want to go, right? We can fly to Nevada in 3 hours, on an airliner at 30,000 feet up, and be there and having a great time in Las Vegas or Laughlin or wherever you want to go, we can get there, and it makes the world feel very small. But these areas are vast. Most people live in cities. There's a lot of empty space on this planet that we don't come into contact with at all. So
I read somewhere, Wayne, really quickly, 1 billion acres of forests are uncharted. 1 billion.
Exactly. Yeah, you could fit the whole world population into Texas and have plenty of room left over. It's not like just because we can talk to somebody on the other side of the planet or we can fly there. And when I was in the military, it was like in 18 hours, we can be anywhere on this planet and ready to fight. kind of a thing. That was the motto, 18 and go, you know, and you got to think about how vast, how huge these areas are. Can there be things living out there that, the Native American tribes lived in that forever? We've been living in cities and stuff for thousands of years. We create societies and things like that, but there's the more primitive people that their societies and their cultures grew up around being out there in these woods, out in these vast deserts.
Okay, we not only the woods, cave systems that we have.
Oh yeah.
Kentucky alone.
Oh, Kentucky. Yes. Well, what Native American tribe is it? I want to say Navajo, the ant people. The ant people that live underground that saved the Navajo Nation from a catastrophe. It was because of these people. Now, are they just going to make up these kind of stories to tell, children? No, you don't want to waste the gray matter to sit there and make things up around a campfire in ancient times to entertain people. You're trying to teach lessons and pass on oral history because you don't have a writing system, or it's hieroglyphic or pictures, So I know Michelle's got something she wants to talk about when it comes to other types folklore? Of cryptids and folklore. Yeah, because we got ambushed before the UFO thing ever happened. We got ambushed in a parking lot of a Kroger by a woman who said something because we were wearing Lake Tahoe sweatshirts. Michelle, go ahead and tell.
Well, no, I was just going to talk about folklore was meant not necessarily to entertain. It was to guide human behavior. It was to explain and guide how you lived your life. So, based off of, previous stories, but what Wayne was talking about, we happened to, we had gotten back from Tahoe probably a few months prior. And so we were in a Kroger parking lot coming back to the car. And this elderly lady approached Wayne and I because she had seen that Wayne had a sweatshirt on that said Lake Tahoe. Okay. And so she began talking to us and asking how, we knew the area. She had lived in Gardnerville, which is just in between Reno and South Lake Tahoe. And she began talking about the red-haired giants.
Okay.
So that are native to that particular area, that still existed to this day in the cave systems up around the Cascade and Sierra Nevada mountains, up in the Pines. And there is a museum either in northern Nevada or in northern California where allegedly they have like evidence on display of one of the red-haired giants.
And not only that, there's been rumors of giant bones and things found that are locked away in the Smithsonian. So
yeah,
Rob,
I've heard that, and I've also heard that a lot of them have disappeared throughout the years. But yeah, Michelle, I've heard that story about where you're the Sierras with the red-haired and Wayne. Yes, the Smithsonian. That would be a place to go and visit.
Well, have you had people, since you deal with cryptids so much, have you had people come to you or send you stories about seeing or knowing about these giants? I know there's the Kandahar giant that supposedly was killed by military personnel during, the war on terror over in the Middle East and things.
I've yet to get any story on giants outside of people sending me stories in about giant Bigfoot that have gone over 12 foot tall. So any giant, I've not gotten any. I got one giant story, but I don't think it was the guy's personal story. It was kind of more about what you guys were just talking about the Kandahar giant. and the Smithsonian, and why is this evidence, or why are these big bones turning up missing all of a sudden? So that was kind of the only thing I've spoken on. I did want to touch on like the folklore too, though, because I'm into that now as well. Because I will say this too about folklore and people that are actually folklorists that do this. There's an element to truth to all folklore, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bunch of people back in the 1800s making up stories just for no good damn reason. There was something behind their story. Have they got embellished over the years? Perhaps. But that element, that commonality of there's a fact behind it, I believe to be true. Maybe not 100% of the time, but I tell you what, 90%, you can hang your head on it. I'll bet you.
They were meant to explain, and the stories were meant to explain how things came into existence and to guide human behavior.
Yeah.
I
That's the technical term of it, but I also think it was a passing of oral history, just hidden, very occult. It was hidden knowledge that they were passing on. So, yeah.
I tell you what, I do hang on to a lot of those. I do get a lot of stories that I do get in are from our First Nations people.
Yeah.
I do. I get a handful, and some of them are very open, and some of them are very, even though they're talking to me, kind of secretive in a way. I can tell that when they tell me something or write something to me, they don't want to get in trouble, okay, with their elders. And I got a story sent in to me by a young lady. She calls herself little small fox, I think it is, of the tribe. I think I want to call it the Choctaw. I think it is
Choctaw. Yeah.
Choctaw. And about as she sent me this beautiful email, and she's stating that, Rob, I don't watch your show. I like it. I love how you have a lot of First Nations, Indigenous folks stories on your channel. As I type this, I don't know that I should hit the send button, because if I live in fear that if my elders found out that I was telling you this, I don't want to explain what trouble I would be in. Almost like being, I don't know that they get disbanded from their tribe like that. I have no idea on the culture, but she really was very secretive and wanted to tell me about how her grandfather would always take her into the woods and express the spirituality behind Sasquatch, as he calls it, right? And again, when we talk about First Nations people, there's two sides of the coin that I've discovered over the years. They believe Sasquatch is a spiritual entity, not at all flesh and blood. And there's another side that says that, yes, it's flesh and blood, but it's also a spirit. Okay. They live in the spirit world and they live on our plane, two different existences, teleportation and all this. So, but this young lady is telling me how the grandfather believes in the spiritual word of Sasquatch, and how he wanted to tell her the story to pass it down to her children when she was old enough to have children.
Exactly. Yep.
So would always take her to this spot, and they would sit down. They would bring out a blanket, Indian blanket or whatever, and they would sit there and they would simply chant over fire into the deepest part of the woods, off trail. And then they did this for 3 or 4 years, and the young little small fox said, "Grandpa, am I supposed to get anything out of this?" He goes, "You're getting something right now, whether you believe it or not." And she's, at the age of 16, you will see what I'm talking about, because he will present himself to you at the age of 16. Who, Grandpa, who? Said Sasquatch, who we go out and perform these rituals for the last 2.5 to 3 years. So again, her 16th birthday comes around, and they're sitting around doing their chants, talking. The young lady, young squaw or little fox. Then out of the embers, out from behind the embers from the tree line, big man, as she's writing this to me, as I'm reading it, of course, a big, massive figure of a human being, 10, 12 foot tall, stood there, kind of looked at him, spoke to her telepathically. Listen and heed what your grandfather says. He will always be with you for the rest of your life. Just listen to his words and pass it on. So this young lady explained to me, it's such a big, wow, great message. About a year and a half after her first communication or seeing of this spirit being in the woods with her grandfather passes away. She makes mention she hadn't seen this being again since the one time she went back to that area where her and her grandfather first saw it, and she was chanting away, desperate. She was grieving for her grandfather, hoping to have this spirit creature of the Bigfoot or the Sasquatch appear. Then all of a sudden, she says in the story that it appeared again, much like before, and again telepathically communicated to her. But she says the difference was this: the telepathic communication from the first time was of a voice that she was unfamiliar with. The second time around, with grandfather passing, the voice communicated was that of her grandfather.
Wow.
So, when I say that Bigfoot is just flesh and blood, I veer on the path that maybe it's also spiritual or something supernatural. So, I am the guy that says it's both, personally. So, I thought that was a really cool story, though. And I get a lot of stories like that. They're all not doom and gloom, okay?
Yeah.
But they're stories in which I think, if people sit back and listen to these things, they're lifelong chapters that we can all learn from,
Yeah.
whether you believe or not.
Well, before we jump into a few more questions, and I know we're going to have you here for about maybe 20 minutes or so, I just want to let everybody know we are on right now with Bigfoot Michigan Rob, the author of True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1, and you can find that on Amazon. Also, if you're enjoying the show, make sure you're smashing on that like button for us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. If you want to help out the show, become a member. Just hit that join button. You can join and be part of the pit crew. And we are very excited. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment after the show. If you love this content and if you like to listen to us afterwards on podcast, we are found everywhere: iHeartRadio, Audible, iTunes, Google Podcast, all of those. You can find us there. And man, we love the support, and we can get more incredible guests on like Rob to talk about these things. So I know you and I and Michelle had a conversation about UFOs and things, and we kind of dipped our toes into the government stuff. And I know Michelle had a question that kind of came from one of our brand new supporters before the show started that she wanted to ask you.
Yep. Oh, and it's a friend of mine from high school. She is absolutely obsessed with anything and all things cryptid. In fact, I got a picture sent to me today of her wearing her Bigfoot shirt. But she has the question, we talk about government cover up so much.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts about the government cover up in regards to cryptids or Bigfoot specifically?
I think 100% they happen. Okay. They happen. I can say you'll never hear me say, I know for a fact, but I will say, I know they happen. In the book too, you guys, there's like 2 or 3 in the book where I call out certain things. There's one, I got to tell you something about this book. I got a story from a guy about a government cover up that I put in the book. And I must tell you, and it's also in video format. And I must tell you that I've gotten so many people that heard this story that said it goes on all the time as part of Indiana. And in fact, in the book, if you go into the book, well, you guys don't, but I read all the reviews on my book. And one of the ones that comes up all the time is the Indiana State Park Dogman encounter, where people are very receptive to that. It resonates with many people, and I can't believe how many people. I'm surprised that the state park has not called me, you guys, because that's how much the response is. And as far as the cover up, I got to tell this story then, because Indiana State Park, okay, Of course, I forgot the name of the park, but it's in the book, and there's a video. It's real popular. It's easy to find. Indiana, it's a state park where you can trail your horses to the park. Okay, and it was a husband and wife and their older son going to this park to ride their horses. They brought 2 horses. Now, prior to all of this, everybody, the father and son also were into Bigfoot and cryptids, and they kind of investigated it together where they live, right? And they live in South Bend, Indiana, and then they travel southwest to this forest where this park is. I do remember that. So again, just letting everyone know they know a little bit about cryptids. So they get to the park and they take the trailer and they detach it. They send it maybe 20, 30 yards ahead of the RV. They came up in an RV and his son pulled the tractor trailer with his big pickup truck or whatever. Okay, with the horses, of course. So when they get out, they get ready to saddle up the horses and they notice a foul stench already. And they've been to this park, everybody, 4 or 5 times. So they're very familiar with it. In fact, they're very familiar with the lot that they got where they could park the RV and the trailer. But it was unusual. It's just unusual. They know that because a lot of horses, it's a horse trailer park, really. Yes, they were familiar and expected horse manure, but this mixture was odd, they thought. So, anyways, they go about their day. They're going down the trail. And as they're going down the trail, of course, they see these big pieces of scat. Okay. Now, of course, they're with the mom, the wife, but the husband or the father, the son, they jump off their horse and are investigating this scat. Very unusual. The mom is like, come on, you guys, really? And I guess I have to agree with her on that, right? But yeah, they just thought it was unusual. So they're traversing about on horseback. Then it's getting darker. They decide to go back to camp. Now it is still daylight out. So it's the father and the son, they are taking care of the horses, putting them back up in the stall or the trailer. And the wife comes running out, waving her hands. You guys come quick, come quick. So the boy and the dad, Ron, what's going on? What's going on? Look around the trailer. Look around the trailer. So around this trailer, everybody, were these big, oversized canine prints. Okay, very bigger than a dog. They're big. Like I guess if I recall the measurements, 5, 6 inches. They're very big. So the husband and the son are like, "Oh my God, is this a dog man?" I mean, and again, they're into this, so they're exuberant. So the husband goes to call up the administrative department to see if they're still open. They wanted somebody out to check this out with them. Of course, no answer, nobody there. So he says, "Hey, we'll wait till the morning and I'll get a hold of the department." Okay. So they all decide to pitch a fire before going to bed and just sit around the fire. When in the distance, they hear what appeared to be wolf-like howls coming from the tree line. And they're listening and they said, wow, this is very unusual. In fact, in Indiana, if I remember correctly, there's no wolves in Indiana. Okay. But it sounded like wolves. Something that the son and the father never heard of, anyways. Okay. They turn in, they go to bed. A couple hours go by, then they hear this ruckus and they hear the horses buckling in the trailer. Okay. And they run out of the RV. The husband, the father, and the son run out of the RV, looking at the commotion going on at the trailer, and the hinges are literally ripped off of the trailer. Okay, where the horses are up in, and they see this creature on 2 legs run down jump out of the trailer, turn around, and head toward the tree line. Disappears into the tree line. The son and the husband, the son and the dad, they run to the back of the trailer. They get inside, and one of the horses in the rear quarter, left quarter, there was 3 claw marks slashed it, and it was bleeding. It was not profuse. It was no arterial They didn't hit an artery or anything, but it was definitely clawed. Like, so the man tries to call somebody, the sheriff, anybody. He wants someone there now. And as I had mentioned earlier, 4 hours prior, no answer, no one came out. He finally gets a hold of somebody. Then all of a sudden, who shows up at this park is administrator for the state park, a sheriff, and some other guy to look like a governmental official. And they're out there and they're inspecting the trailer. He tells them the whole story, shows them the tracks around the RV. It shows him the horse, the 3 claw marks, everything, right? So the son says, "Dog man," just blurts out "dog man." And one of the officials looks at this kid. "What do you mean, dog man?" And so the father says, "Yeah, well, we investigate cryptids, dog man, Bigfoot, and we're thinking this is it. And we saw what we saw. We think it was a dog man out here."
Mm.
3 officials, they get very quiet and they very discern. They say, "Listen, here's what we're going to tell you. Number one, don't say a word about this to anybody. Don't mention the word dog man. Don't tell this story. What we are going to offer you is this. We're going to pay for your animals' treatment. We're going to waive all the lot fees, whatever you had to pay. This is no charge on us. In return, please do not report this story to anybody. Don't tell your neighbor. Don't tell your best friend." So right then, now they're all thinking, what's going on here? So they leave, they go home. In less than 48 hours, everybody, they get a knock on their door. Right? And it's a government agency, and it's also an administrator from the park. They invite them in. "Yes, you remember us. You had the experience, and we asked you not to say anything. And as far as we know, you did not. But we have to tell you this. This cannot ever get out." Now, the dad tells me that they're more stern. They're in their home, but they're being stern with this family, as if you say something, harm will come to you. And with this very uncomfortable discussion in his home, where the man and the son want to just kind of throw down with them, fight these guys, right? Because you don't go in someone's home and tell them and dictate policy, right?
Right.
Gave him a bag, $10,000 in cash. Hopefully, this will, help refrain from saying anything. First thing I thought,
bribe them.
Yeah, bought their silence.
First thing I thought, 10 grand, give me 100 grand. I would say a peep. 10 grand, that's just a teaser. That's what I would have thought, especially if they would have been harassing me in my house.
10 grand a month for the next year.
Yeah, there you go. I'll take it. $100 bills, not marked.
Obviously, nobody has done that with us because here we are.
So, I got that story. A lot of people, that's one of the stories in the book and even the video where I get a whole bunch of people. I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the park. It's in the book or in the video, but a lot of people say, yes, they know that dogmen exist. They know they exist there. And I'm like, well, I found something, and I'm just surprised that no one's contacted me. And I don't want to be contacted, trust me, unless you want me to redact that from the book for 100 grand, and I can easily do that for you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Funny story that you bring that up. I was stopped by somebody in the local diner, and those of you that listen to the show before or listen to our audio podcast know the diner that I'm talking about. It's our local New Boston Coney and Grill diner. And this I was stopped by somebody in the diner who knew about what we did and was talking to me, and they were a Vietnam veteran who had been retired out of the military, an older gentleman, and he said that when he's ready, he wants to tell us about a Bigfoot encounter that him and his army platoon, when they were training in Louisiana, ran into. And the gist of the story is, and I want to get the details, so I hope to get him on here or get a recording with him and play it on here, that while they were in Louisiana, They were doing training, and I think they were getting ready to ship out, and they were in the woods of Louisiana and came face to face with a Bigfoot. They didn't shoot at it or anything. They ran and they went back to their upper command, their sergeants and stuff like that. And they went to the officers and said, "We saw this. What are we supposed to do? Do you want us to go hunt it down or whatever?" They said, "Yeah, we know it's there. Just leave it alone. That wasn't your job for being there. So just ignore it."
Wow.
Yeah. So, and Lori, who kind of presented that question to us, made me think of that person I ran into telling me that. Like, now, me personally, I've been out in the woods a ton and I've never had any kind of weird run in except with other humans out in the woods
Yeah.
that, you want to run screaming from those people that are living wild out in the woods, but, nothing like that. But, Michelle, was there any other things you wanted to ask Rob in that regards?
No, I think I got my questions in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will
Well, Rob,
say though, really cool. I will say, I think I'd be more scared of a human approaching me in the woods than an animal.
yeah.
Just the thought of that is, unless you're being friendly at first, but if they're just approaching you, that's kind of creepy, I think.
Stranger danger.
Yeah,
We're part of that generation that
Yeah.
yeah, I
seriously.
think probably.
Yep.
Well, we are.
Well, Rob, before we get out of here, because it's almost been an hour and a half already, and the time just flew tonight.
Yeah. When you have a good show, they fly by, don't they?
Yeah,
When you're having a good
man.
time talking, I mean, that's what it's all about, right?
Hey, we are sitting around the bonfire right now, just
Yeah, that's right. I'm getting
shoot-
my face is getting a little
getting a
hot.
little heated up.
Getting a little heated up. Yeah.
So besides the book, which I want to plug here once again, and I'm going to
Sure.
put this up on the screen for everybody to see. And if you're listening, go over to Amazon and I will put a link to the book. It's Bigfoot Michigan Rob Presents True Cryptid Encounters, Book 1.
Yep.
And you can get that. I imagine that's paperback and also like Kindle and things.
Yeah, it's paperback and Kindle. Very price really nice. In fact, someone said it's too cheap. I said, well, it's my first go around. I mean, I want to sell it,
Yeah.
and get the word out. And yes, and thanks for Amazon. If anybody thinks if you put it in your show, also my channel is simply called Bigfoot Michigan Rob on YouTube. If you subscribe to the channel, the link for the book is also in there with all my social media as well. The book, Facebook group, Twitter, all that stuff. So yeah, so that's another way to buy the book, or type in Bigfoot Michigan Rob on your Amazon browser. It'll pull up.
Yeah.
So, and what you guys do. So yeah.
Well, we had a couple before, we take off. We had some questions. I'm going to put Jennifer's up here.
Yeah. Yep.
She had asked, has anyone ever heard about cryptids in Pawpaw, Michigan or Colma, Michigan? I've never heard of Colma, Michigan. Pawpaw, yes.
I've never heard of Colma, or I've heard of Pawpaw, but I've not gotten it. I've never heard of anything. That's not to say they're not there, because I got to tell you something. Wherever there's woods and water, I think there's cryptids.
Yeah, and not everybody's watching these shows on YouTube and looking into us.
Yeah, and not a lot of people report them either. That's another thing.
Let's see. Straw Dog is saying Coloma.
Oh, Coloma, Michigan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like there was a O missing out of there. Yeah, and by the way, you can find the link to Rob's channel in our show description, everybody. If you want to just click on that, the link there will take you right to his channel. And if you're listening to this at a later time, you can find that in the show notes as well, just right there.
Thank you.
So anything else coming up, Rob? You got any interesting guests coming on? Any conferences, speaking events, anything coming up?
Well, I got some things going on. Well, today. So next Tuesday, I have a great show. Next Tuesday night at 9, I got Doug Hijack coming on, who is the producer of Monster Quest. So if you
nice.
like with William Shatner. So he's going to be on Tuesday. I can't tell you who's going to be on Thursday, because I have 2 live shows: Tuesday night at 9, Thursday afternoon at 1. So that's how I work. Twice a week on my live show. And June 7th and 8th, I'll be in Alabama for the Alabama Bigfoot Conference. I'll be speaking there. You guys know Tex. Tex is the master of ceremonies. Barton Nunnally will be speaking. Martin Groves, the Blondes and Booze, Jason McLean, Greg Ogles, and a couple other researchers and experiences. So yeah, they'll be June 7th and 8th in Alabama, Anniston, Alabama. So that'll be cool. It'll be my third conference, twice in Alabama, once in Texas. So doing that. But yeah, I'm on twice a week live, and every Saturday I do put out a new Bigfoot or Dogman encounter on my channel as well. I don't know that we'll get one out this week. The holidays, I'm still getting ready to get right back into the grind. It just seems like this is a weird week. I mean, the holidays are done now, but it's like when Christmas Day fell on, what was it? Monday?
It was a Monday.
Yeah, New Year's Day. So it kind of threw off the whole. Next week, the schedule should be back straightened out. You guys probably know what I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, and next week they're talking about a winter storm finally coming through.
Oh, well, yeah. Then
which as teachers we like those days, but at this time frame, for me as a high school teacher, this is where we get put together our midterms and get ready to start second semester and stuff. So our weeks are kind of shortened and under a lot of pressure to get things done.
Yeah.
And we don't want those weeks messed with, because that affects our whole school year at that point. So, but it is what it is.
Yeah. And you know what? I got to tell you something really brief. I remember maybe it was 2 years ago. I think it was definitely not last year. I don't think I shoveled but one. I didn't pull out my snow machine last year. I shoveled once, but I remember watching Fox 2 News. That's what I watch. I like the morning show. We're getting this blast. This coming. The Arctic is coming from Canada with
polar
the Gulf,
vortex.
with the Gulf pulling it all. The barometric pressure is just gonna soar. Okay, I'm like, and I was like, oh crap, I don't want 4 feet of snow. I remember I had to go somewhere that very next morning. I said, well, so I canceled a doctor's appointment. That's what it was. I said, I'm calling ahead. I won't be in. We're getting all this snow. Wake up at 6 o'clock, 7 in the morning, expecting to be snowed in. Not a damn drop of anything yet. The whole week, nothing. And then the following week, if you guys remember, I mean, this a couple years ago, the forecast, beautiful weather. That week later, I wake up to 3 feet of snow at my back door. Yeah, figures.
Yep.
The best job in the world. I wish I would have became a meteorologist. Can't get fired for being wrong.
Well, in Michigan, you actually start to lose your mind because you don't know what the hell's going to happen.
Yeah.
But all right, Rob, I'll tell you what, this has been awesome, and we got to have you come back on and talk some more. But I think we're going to have to wrap this up for tonight. So
yeah, sounds good to me as well. I had a great time. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will see you later. All right. And everybody, we want to thank Bigfoot Michigan Rob for coming out and joining us tonight. This has been a great show. We want to thank all of you. And remember, if you got a story you want to tell us, email us right there below. Here's our contact information at pitchatpodcast@gmail.com. And let's see what else. Make sure you're smashing that like button. Leave a comment. Super chats are available. Super thanks are available. If you enjoy the show, every little bit of support helps. And keep on sending us those. Somebody I saw, and I wrote their name down, sent us a possible guest. So if you got guest suggestions, send them to us.
Yep, I wrote it down. And Jennifer, I will do some digging on Paloma and Papa for you as well.
Yeah.
So thank you to everyone who came out tonight and hung out and chat.
Absolutely. So everybody, one last announcement. I got to show you guys this before everybody takes off. Next Sunday, the 14th. We got him coming back on. Guy Merritt.
We haven't seen Guy in a while, so Guy's coming back to join us on Sunday.
Guy has been talking to people that contact him because of our show and what he's been through. And I'm going to tell you guys, he's got some amazing stories and things to tell us.
Yeah, different words for it though.
Yeah, so we don't want to repeat what he had to say. We'll save that for next week. So, all right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We truly appreciate it. You guys make us very happy when you join us and make this worthwhile for us. So with that being said, Michelle?
Have a great night, everyone.
Have a great night, everybody. And remember, those eyes to the sky. Or, if it's a cryptid thing, hey,
To the woods.
keep your eyes open and peeled all around you. Just don't be too paranoid. All right. Later, everybody.